The class representative yells at Haruka until she finally catches his attention. Surprised to see her, Haruka realizes that he doesn't know her name, so he keeps calling her class rep. The girl is irritated because they've known each other since childhood. Soon, 5 other girls arrive, tired from chasing after the representative. Haruka notices that they are the rest of the girls from the class. The class rep asks Haruka what's going on with Shimazaki and her friends. He's unsure how to explain what just happened. Haruka fills her in on everything, including how he subjugated them. The class rep can't believe what she's hearing and tells him that such an ability is meant for monsters. Haruka admits he doesn't know how it happened. It just did. All the girls glare at him coldly, imagining his wicked intentions. Haruka tries to leave and go home, but the girls stop him. The class rep manages to snap Shimazaki out of her strange trance and questions her about what happened, as she doesn't trust Haruka. While they interrogate the girls, Haruka sits down, waiting. Bored, he decides to practice his earth magic to improve his house, but the spell goes wrong and he ends up buried in the ground. The class rep pulls him out, unsure of how he could do that to himself. It turns out the girls explained that Haruka didn't do anything bad to them. In fact, he went looking for them because he was worried something might have happened. Haruka doesn't remember saying or doing anything like that. The girls apologize to him and thank him. With everything resolved, Haruka insists he wants to go home. The girls can't believe he wants to leave them now, and the class rep doesn't understand what he means by home. Haruka explains that he had a lot of free time, so he built a house. The girls are shocked and think it's a great idea. The class rep blows her whistle, starting another meeting, and once again, Haruka is left out of it. Suddenly, they ask how many people can fit in his house. Without much interest, he replies that if 6 people fit per tatami mat, maybe around 240 could fit, more if they remove the furniture. The girls are surprised he has furniture. He tells them he also has a kitchen, a lounge, and a bathroom. The class rep asks if he lives in a mansion, adding that they've been living in survival mode since they arrived. The girls make a decision and ask the class rep to proceed with the plan. Embarrassed, the class rep asks Haruka if they could at least spend one night in his house. Haruka loses his mind at the thought of having an entire class of high school girls all to himself. He starts leading them through the forest, using his location ability. The girls don't understand how he can navigate corners and intersections so well. The class rep sarcastically asks if his house has a store too, but Haruka replies that he's considered building a pharmacy. Finally, they arrive at Haruka's house, and this time it looks much better. It's had several upgrades since the last time it was shown, and the girls are astonished by the palace-like home. They cry with happiness, relieved they won't have to spend the night in a tent. Haruka shows them where the rooms are, but before he can finish, the girls have already run off to the bathroom, tearing off their clothes. The only one keeping her composure is the class rep, who tells them to control themselves. The girls undress and hop into the bath. Haruka knows that spending so much time in the forest has turned them into savages. At night, it's time to sleep, and Haruka is happy to finally have some alone time. But just then, the class rep enters, thanking him for what he's done for them. She explains that after the bullies left, the rest of the boys also abandoned them, leaving them all alone. Having decent food and a bath lifted their spirits. She also confesses that she feels guilty because, despite being responsible for everyone, she hasn't been able to protect them. Haruka disagrees, pointing out that everyone is still safe. Even so, the class rep insists she hasn't been able to contribute as much as Oda and his friends. Haruka tells her that those geeks were practically raised for the day they'd be transported here, and that in any case, they are the weird ones. The class rep scolds him for saying something so rude, but he explains that he just wanted to show her that she can't compare to them in that aspect. Haruka's words lift her spirits. However, she also realizes that if Haruka can build houses, cook, and defeat monsters, then he's even stranger than the geeks. She thanks him for everything, wishes him good night, and leaves. That night, Haruka struggles to fall asleep, imagining his classmates in pajamas and underwear in his house. The next morning, Haruka wakes up to find a girl in his tent, telling him that breakfast is ready. Haruka wants to stay in bed a little longer, but the girl comes closer, even getting on top of him. Nervous, he tries to change the subject and asks what's for breakfast. She answers, mushrooms and fish. Hearing there's fish, Haruka jumps up, accidentally hitting the girl's head. He rushes out to eat the fish and savors every bite, saying it's been so long since he had one. The girls are surprised since he lives by a river. He tells them he spent days eating mushrooms and watching the fish, but when he tried to catch one, they'd slip away because they were so slimy and slippery. He asks if they have an easy way to catch them. They take him to the river, where one of the girls charges a lightning spell in her hand and throws it into the water, causing several fish to jump out. Haruka is amazed at how effective it is and begs her to do it again. The girl charges her hand with lightning magic again, but this time Haruka approaches and creates a transparent box that captures the spell. He says he's using his packaging magic to wrap and store the lightning magic. He throws the box into the river and finally catches his first fish. Additionally, he gains the lightning magic ability. The girl wonders how he acquired her magic, and the class rep asks Haruka what he's done. He explains that with his packaging magic, he can acquire elemental magic of any type. The class rep realizes that this makes it a pretty powerful technique. Haruka thinks it's due to the combination of his packaging ability and his jack-of-all-trades skill. He's learned that even the weakest abilities have their uses. The class rep is amazed by how strong he is, but he reminds her that he only has leftover abilities and that they got the truly powerful ones. He even admits that he almost peed himself from the overwhelming power he just gained. They sit by the river, and Haruka asks what their plans are. The class rep is considering going to the city, and it makes sense to him since Shimazaki and her friends wanted to hunt down the geeks there. The girls clarify that they don't want to hunt them down, just apologize. The class rep mentions that before they leave, they should probably level up. Haruka agrees, noting that without that, they won't be able to hunt the geeks. Shimazaki and her friends reiterate that they don't want to hunt them down. Haruka agrees with the plan and offers to help them train. The class rep thanks him, but clarifies once more that they're not Hunt Oda and his friends. Haruka finally understands and thinks it's a shame because he wanted to see them fight with their abilities at full power. Everyone gathers in the forest, and before they begin, Haruka wants to know what level the girls are at. They start sharing their levels, and the lowest is 16, which Haruka can't believe, especially since he's still level 7. The girls grow impatient, eager to start training. Haruka realizes they don't really need him, but then he gets an idea. He gives them their first mission, to wipe out all the low-level kobolds. The poor kobolds don't know what they did to deserve this. The girls see that none of the kobolds are above level 10 and know it'll be easy. They prepare to fight, but the kobolds win without any trouble. Haruka calls it pathetic. The girls complain that they didn't mention how fast the kobolds were or that they'd bite. They all gather in Haruka's magic tent to come up with a new plan, and he doesn't understand why they're doing it in his tent. After a few minutes, they emerge, motivated and ready, determined to defeat the kobolds. Haruka is glad to finally have some time to himself, but the same girl who woke him up in the morning remains in the tent. She apologizes and confesses that she tested him because in the last camp, the boys almost caught her, which was very traumatic, and she was worried he might try to take advantage of them too. Haruka realizes these girls have been through a lot. She thanks him for giving them a home, food, and training, promising to wake him up every morning when the fish is ready. Haruka thanks her and nicknames her Fish Girl. The next morning, Fish Girl keeps her promise and brings him fish for breakfast. He hears the other girls leaving the house, motivated and eager to seek revenge on the kobolds, but the class rep stops them, reminding them that they need to train first. The training involves fighting a goblin. The girls battle it and are almost immediately defeated. After a few days of training, the rematch arrives. The kobolds mock them, which angers the girls. Some of them fall asleep before the encounter, and others complain of stomach aches trying to avoid the fight. The more motivated girls face the kobolds, fight as a team, and finally manage to defeat them. The class rep congratulates them, and Haruka realizes he was worried for nothing. The girls shake hands with the kobolds, making amends. Haruka feels relieved, thinking he can finally return to his peaceful, solitary life, but the class rep asks if they can now accompany him to the city. He tells her he never agreed to go with them, but the class rep pleads. The day arrives, and the class rep and the girls are ready to set off, checking to make sure they have everything. Meanwhile, Haruka asks Fish Girl to pack as much as possible in her bag. The class rep says the bag is already full, and Haruka agrees, so he decides to leave her behind. Fish Girl resigns herself to being left, but the class rep tells Haruka he has to bring her along. They all set off together for the city. Haruka warns the class rep that they don't know what they'll encounter on the way, so they need to be careful. In the forest, a boy is being chased by a hooded man. When he catches him, the boy begs for his life, but the man ignores him.